You guys like Venti? Old Barbados, the god of wind and hope and freedom. A lot of concepts, real conceptual god. What if I told you this thing isn't Barbados, but rather a mimic, and the real Barbados, the real god of breeze and hope, has been dead for thousands of years? Well, I'd be lying. No, something else happened to Venti that is of equal import. It would appear Venti has a long-lost sister currently roaming the earth. What do I mean? As we all know, Venti appears to have a deep connection with the Shade of Time Istaroth herself. Some would even consider her his mother, his creator. His character storyteller is quote, "In those days, Venti was but a single thread of the thousand winds that roared through the northern lands." Now, the thousand winds terminology is one that is indeed heavily associated with Istaroth, as the Bakakaku records quite literally tells us, quote, "However, our priests and sages have detected something. Even in these depths, the power of the undying wind and the water still remain. The personification of the undying wind is known as Tokyo Okami, and is poetically rendered the thousand winds or the thousand winds of time." And now obviously Tokyo Okami is what the Ankonomians called Istaroth, so that should do it, right? It's a straight line. Venti was once a little guy in the thousand winds are Istaroth, bada bing bada boom, Istaroth gave life to Venti. This term, Thousand Winds, is a lot like the term Dragon Lord, you know what I mean? If not, let me show you how messy this can get. In CN, the Hydro Sovereign is called the Dragon Lord of Water. This title of Dragon Lord is one that's also associated with Ajdaha, one who many believe to be the Geo Sovereign, and him being called a Dragon Lord is part of the reason why many believe such. However, the title of Dragon Lord, funnily enough, has also been used to refer to Haishan, the Leviathan Beto Slade, so either we need to reconcile that Beto, a regular nigga, kills one of the 7 sovereigns who's, I guess one of their names at this point would be fucking Haishans, or we gotta accept that Hoyo reuses terms, and given the latter is most definitely the truth, or maybe it isn't, maybe Beto just legitimately killed a fucking sovereign named Haishan, wouldn't that be some shit? Circling back to Venti and Istaroth, we must look at other uses of the phrase Thousand Winds or Thousand Winds of Time. Now, the other interesting use of the Thousand Winds seemingly has nothing to do with Istaroth at all, as the Skyward Atlas tells us, quote, "A copy of the atlas pertaining to the weather of the northern regions, presented in the form of poems and images. It consists of 100,000 odes, each dedicated to a single cloud or wind, and calling it by name. The Cloud Atlas gave form to the winds, and odes infused them with personality. The myriad formless winds are now friends and family in the eyes of Barbados. The histories of the thousand winds were not lost, for Barbados still holds them." Interestingly, the text goes on to immediately state, "When Barbados stood against the shadowy wings of the evil dragon Durin, he sang to the thousand winds and called upon the wind dragon. He who holds this atlas wields the true name of the thousand winds and all of their powers." So make of that what you will. I'm just gonna run with the assumption that, Venti and Istaroth are connected, because why should Ajiria have all the fun? In this version 5.2, we got a new book set, The Springs of Hidden Jade. It's a 2-parter that's about old Guhua's early adventures, where by chance he happened to run into an Adeptus, but not just an Adeptus, as she could very well be just like Venti, a wisp in the thousand winds. Quote, "She sprinted forever alongside all movements, her flying hair ever white gold as she shattered every wave and dispersed all sediments, caring only to run from this moment into the future. The mountain people once viewed her as Time's daughter, like a white horse leaping from a pure spring, one whom no shackles could bind, just as it was with her proud mother. So it was with her. No wall or eggshell could bar her path." And now this text is a very interesting one. This description of the Adeptus being in these different moments almost mirrors how the Ankonomians described Istaroth. Quote, "We knew the only one who had not forsaken us as the ruler of time. She was the moment. She was every moment. She was the measure of 1,000 winds and the sun and the moon. She was every second of joy, every moment of rage, every instant of longing, every minute of obsession. She was every flash of delirium. Furthermore, Time's daughter, Istaroth, is no doubt the Shade of Time, but the rest of the text is what I find to be very interesting. The description of the Adeptus' mother as proud and unstoppable feels like a stark contrast to what we know the Shades to be thus far. Or maybe it isn't. The one confirmed Shade we've heard from is Ronova, the Shade of Death, who in her conversation with Shibalanke came across as many things, but proud isn't one of them.
Very well. I shall agree to help you. But I am merely a shade, and I do not have as much freedom to do as I please as you might think.
It almost comes across as a longing for freedom, almost submissive in nature, and later suggests they lie about their deal.
Keep this a secret. If I am questioned about it, I will deny all involvement and claim that treacherous Xiuhcoatl stole my power.
These are not the actions of a proud individual. These are the actions of a scared one scared of defying the sovereign of sovereigns. One scared of the primordial one, a progenitor god, hailing from beyond the stars. Completely understandable. Now we have a potential other shade in our beloved sustainer of heavenly principles, who does come across as proud and spiteful, but she's on the right side of history, so again, completely understandable. Istaroth has always been the most unique shade, given when Ankonomia sunk to the depths of hell. Their people cried out to the four shades and their master, but received no reply, until one did reply. That one was Istaroth. Furthermore, Istaroth has also helped the construction of the sacred Sakura, which in Makoto's own words,
"The sacred Sakura blooms from the darkness, finally free from the clutches of the heavenly principles."
So in this sense, by committing these actions that appear to blatantly defy the will of the one above all, yes, Istaroth comes across as proud and unstoppable. If not even the primordial one can stop her, nothing can. Quote, "The kingdom of the ocean depths once saw her as an emissary, and based on their imagination, they granted her scales and tail plumage, falling down in worship of the light brought by one who was both mother and daughter." What's odd about this line is a better translation for kingdom of the ocean depths is kingdom of the abyss, which could be khaenriah, should be khaenriah, I don't know. What would an Adeptus even be doing over there? And furthermore, even if it was khaenriah, why would the people fall down in worship of the lights brought by who they thought was an emissary, presumably of the gods? I don't know what the kingdom of the abyss would be in this reference. But again, hey, motherfucking form remind him, bitch. I'm sure someone else does. Quote, "In the days when mortals received the blessings of the heavens, great heroes and wandering champions would visit the clear springs for her blessing, fighting over the tenderness she left in her hurried wake. But when the moon palace collapsed, the chariot fell, and the three sisters were slain. These legends became lost alongside disaster's descent and the downfall of bygone peoples. The heavens rained down cruel order, and from that day, the stars stilled their orbits and the earth ceased to turn. As for her, she had no choice but to be trapped within the shell of the starry sky, forced to tarry within this stagnant foreign land, awaiting her mother's thousand threads, awaiting the erosion of hardy stone, awaiting the next encounter from beyond." Now to me, it's the last sentence that really solidifies she, like Venti, has some connection to Istaroth. I mean, awaiting her mother's thousand threads? I mean, come on. Even if the thousand threads aren't Istaroth herself, they are very clearly connected to her. If you're wondering what this mysterious Adeptus' name is, or where she really comes from, well, Xiuhcoatl tried asking. Quote, "I know it seems rude to mention this now, but I know you only as a transcendent Adeptus, but not where you come from or even your name. Might I have it?" But the tricky bitch only responded, quote, "Once again, just as she had once faced another child she knew not amidst the bamboo forest, she only laughed, saying nothing more." You think you're better than us, bitch? So what does this all mean? Where does this leave us? Well, it seems like Venti possibly has a sister, and probably many other siblings who all may have come from Istaroth. One became an Adeptus, and at a certain point ran into a young Xiuhcoatl, meaning she should know Rex Lapis, and could very well still be wandering the lands today. Furthermore, her awaiting Istaroth could further reinforce the idea that Istaroth, the shade of time, is missing.